Thus, is not the U.S. government in violation of the Constitution when it devotes so much resources to promotion of Christianity abroad, especially in India? If yes, can this be reversed with a lawsuit in the U.S. courts?
I think this would be a good lawsuit to test to get some people on your side who are there's a lot of American groups against this government role in Christianity. The mechanism they are using is two mechanisms. One is called faith-based initiative, which Bush started, and unfortunately Obama has expanded. Bush started this business that government, rather than providing social services to poor people, will give the money to the church and let them do it, which of course gives them power, those guys power. And this was debated and argued, a lot of opposition, but it went through. And that is the law. And what Obama has done, in a nutshell, is to globalize it, and now there's faith-based initiatives which are being done via religious organizations, which basically mean mainly Christianity, to foreign countries. So now the US government, if it wants to do humanitarian aid somewhere, it can either do directly, or the USAID organization, which gets all this money to give, will then give it to another NGO, which is a church-related NGO. Second deterrent to all this is, to a lawsuit, is that they operate through NGOs which are hard to nail down. It's very difficult to say that this is part of the Lutheran Parivar. It is very hard to say that. Or it is hard to say this is part of the Vatican Parivar, this particular NGO. Because, they will put all their padres and all their theologians, those guys there, but those guys will say, we start our own NGO, we're doing our own work, like that. The burden of proof requires a lot of field work. You've got to go with cameras, you've got to go with to show their nexus and how they're relating. We have done a very big beginning. But as TRN said, it will take 100 dissertations, 100 PhDs to do more research on these things to really complete the whole picture. We've opened this door, but more people have to get in. So if a lot of data is gathered, I think there can be and should be litigation that the US is violating this by going overseas. Now their response will be a buzzword called human rights. They say that, the biggest people pushing through the legislation of human rights for the last 100 years for US intervention overseas has been the church. I've got several books on American history written by American historians, well-known historians, on the history of the church getting involved in the name of religious freedom and labor rights and human rights and whatnot. They pick issues, whether it is child labor, whether it is the role of women, whether it is to help these people or those people. They pick issues after looking at what's the potential for evangelizing worldwide using that issue. So they pick a social issue, then they brand it, they do a lot of research for many years, and they lobby to get it as part of the human rights. So US response typically would be that, look, we are giving some faith-based initiative through independent NGOs, and we don't know if they're part of the church or not, but we are not aware of it, and we are doing human rights intervention because it's good for human rights, and if that intervention is helping out the church, we don't know about it. I talked to the Indian, whom I named in the book, but don't want to now, who was representing Hinduism, so to speak, supposedly, in this Obama administration on this issue. And I really take her to task in this book for being complicit on this. And her response was that, I can't do anything because they are saying that, since we don't have proof that it is being misused. So the burden of proof given to us is very high. But the burden of proof for others to accuse Hinduism is very low. All it takes is a few people there to claim that something has happened. There is no court ruling. There is no independent verification. It shows up in a few church newsletters and gets quoted enough times that it becomes fact. And then it comes to the US Congress and it is taken as fact. So much of the evidence that the US Congress has relied on in the Commission report is unsubstantiated and uncorroborated, we point out in this book.